Hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about what exactly the product designers really need to do when they are working in any of the product companies. So now this is one of the queries that I have often received from many of the people who talk to me, like what exactly does a product designer do and what exactly are the roles and responsibilities of a product designer. Now in this video what I am going to cover is not just what are the roles of the product designers, but also what are the responsibilities of the product designers. Because what I have often heard and often seen in the industry also is that most of the times designers either are not taking the ownership or are not being given the ownership of the product that they are working for or the ideas that they are working for. So maybe one another conversation that can come up over here is how can product managers and product designers collaborate together, and also how exactly can a product designer co-own a product. And maybe over here we can also understand what exactly the product ownership or what exactly the role of product owner is over here. So if you would see in any of the product companies, whenever a role of product designer is given to you, majorly what people are expecting out of you is just the Figma designs, right? Like in most of the companies and many of the startups, there is this misconception that the designers are only supposed to bring out the Figma designs just so that they can give it to the tech team and get it groomed and then maybe just get it delivered by the end of the day. But the product designer's role is a lot more than that. Like if you would have heard about the UX designers and UI designers separately, there are different roles and responsibilities which are given to them based on different ideologies of the people. But like when you're working as a product designer, the entire problem statement is something that a designer must own right from the moment they receive a problem statement from the user research team or maybe from the business team to the point when they are delivering it and getting it live and getting the results out of that, evaluating that, analyzing that and taking the decisions based on that. Your responsibility is entirely over there. So let me just help you with the process of what exactly a product designer does and how they can optimize their work while they are working in any of the companies, especially in a product based company. Right from the moment a person just receives a very vague problem statement from any of the business team or from the user research team, as in I am seeing that many of the people are cancelling their booking on this part of the funnel. For example, this is the problem statement or vague problem statement that the product team has received. Now the product team might include design, product managers, product analysts, all of them are involved. Different teams have different setups. But for example, you are working as a product designer. Now what exactly is your role? The moment you have received this problem statement, your responsibility is to dissect it first of all as much as possible. Now this is where the first part of being divergent in the problem finding stage comes into the play. Now what are the reasons that a person might be dropping off on this particular section? What is the customer journey of the user? What all are the things that people do? Is there any particular number that we can have? What exactly is the user doing just before this? What is the contribution of different types of reasons to this particular consequence? A designer needs to do all of that. Now, in order to get all of this data, they can definitely talk to different people. They can reach out to the user research team, they can reach out to the customer experience team, they can reach out to the product analyst and also at times the product manager. So these are the things that you would do. Once you have found that yes, these might be the large number of reasons or this might be also one of the core reasons of this particular problem, that is where you converge on the problem side and you write down the how might we's or your final problem statements. Now there are many people who might say that that following the entire process is just not the thing that we have the time for or we have the privilege for. But to be honest, this process is not really supposed to be just like 7 days, 14 days. It is just a process. You can, like, if you would do it in a right way, you can also even do it in a 1 or 2 day also. But it is just that you need to go through these steps whenever you are doing particular thing. So once you have got these problem statements, how might we's, this is from where your divergent part of the solution comes into the play. Now, one particular thing that I have learned in my experience is that be as free, be as constraint free as possible at this point of time. Just be as user centric as possible. You just need to think as many creative solutions as possible. There might be some of the thoughts in the people's head, like maybe the solution is not business wise feasible or technologically feasible at this point of time. No issues. Just bring in as many crazy ideas as possible. There are many people who use crazier techniques. There are also some other techniques which is getting 25 ideas in 20 minutes. I have written certain articles on this thing also. I will put the links down in the description. You can have a look at that. But now coming to the back thing, which is be as crazy as possible. Just don't think about any of the feasibility or constraints. Get as many ideas as possible and discuss it with different teams. The good product teams are those where if you are pitching in your ideas, people are being constructive with that. Somebody might say that, okay, if we can do this, maybe we can do that also. Like pitching one idea over another, building up. That is how great ideas come in. And maybe by the end of this process, you can now converge on the solution and get the final solutions. That see, based on the efforts and impact ratio, maybe we can take up these particular ideas and let us just go with these particular ideas. And that is where our wireframing comes into the play. So this is the entire double diamond design thinking kind of process that you can follow. I highly recommend that people should follow this process. As I just mentioned before, also people are reluctant on following these particular processes, but this is my personal experience. This has really worked for me. And the excuse that we do not have enough time for doing this thing, it is also something which is solvable, because if you are following this particular process, this might even just take 1 or 2 days also. So if you want to do it in a quick way, this is also possible. Okay, so let us just take some examples. We will just take a very small example at this point of time. This will just help you understand how can follow a particular process in order to solve any of the vaguest problem statement. Let us take an example that many people are dropping off from the introduction screen of any particular app. For example, I was just using this Me Plus app a few days back, where if I want to, you can say, schedule my day or just improve my habits, I can use that app. I can just let the app know what do I really want to achieve, and they will take the data from me, and then they will make an entire plan for me. What all are the things that I need to do in every day, in every hour of the day. They just make an entire schedule for me. Now I onboarded with that app. What the issue that I personally faced was, once the entire onboarding was done, all the information was taken from me, that was a point when it was notified to me that you actually need to buy an entire subscription to go forward with this thing. Now, one possible thing might be that most of the people would also be dropping off from this particular section. They are not buying the subscription. So this might be one of the problem statements. This you can receive from the business team maybe. Now, while you are dissecting on this particular section, on this problem statement, there might be multiple reasons why a person is not opting for the subscription. It might be that the people are not really committed enough, they are not high intentioned, they do not have enough money at this point of time. They maybe have money, but they are not thinking that it is worthy enough that they can go forward with this thing. One more reason can be that there are many people who find issue in connecting the cards with the Google payment. There can be a number of reasons with that. You can talk to the research team about this. Like, you can validate all of these hypotheses with the research team, UX research team, or with the data team. Do we have any particular data with which we can validate the hypothesis? So this is the part where you are dissecting on the problem statement. Be as vague as possible. Think of all the parameters as possible. Second part would be converging on this particular section. Once you have found the relevant validation on your hypothesis, this is where you will now write the how might we's or the problem statements. Now the problem statement and how might we's are a kind of different thing. In problem statement, a particular person needs to read it, write it in a way a person needs to, in order to, and currently cannot. Now, if for example we say that one of the validated problem that we got was that people are facing issue in connecting their payment mode with the Google Play Store, right? So we can maybe just have a how might we, in a way, how might we help the user connect their cards with the Google in a more seamless way, right? You can maybe just write the how might be in a much better way. There can be different iterations. The main idea of how might be is that dissecting the problem statement and getting the deliverable or maybe actionable items out of this particular problem statement, right? So you have written this how might we, for example, now we are solving this thing. Let us now just diverge on the solution, and there can be many vague solutions. Maybe what if we can have an API made where a person can simply just click a photo of their card, and all the relevant information will be taken from that. A person doesn't really need to enter the information or any other thing. They can simply just fetch the information from the image. There can be any other information also. I just maybe need to give my Aadhaar card number, or maybe I just need to give one OTP. There can be a number of ways through which we can solve this problem, right? This is where the crazy 8 part comes into the play. Please do not think about any business or technology feasibility at this point of time. Now the final part would be where you would be converging on the solution end. This is where your efforts and impact ratio comes into the play. There will be many ideas which are very effort taking but are not yielding that much impact. The best ideas are those which have the highest impact and lowest efforts. So this is where you can choose the best ideas, and at times you can also take up the ideas which are high impact and high effort also, right? You should not, this is like maybe a personal ideology here, I would say that you should not really just give up on those ideas which are high effort and high impact, because you just never know like what exactly is the potential of that idea. So all the ideas which have low impact, you can maybe just deprioritize those ideas and prioritize the ideas which are high impact, high effort, and high impact, low effort. So now once you've got all the relevant solutions that now you want to move forward with, this is where the defining the success metric part comes into the play. Now, how will I objectively say that the solution that I've made is solving the problem or was successful? Now, one of the North Star metrics over here can be that I need to get more and more subscriptions, right? One of the defining solutions for this particular section might be that success metric might be that I just need to decrease the drop off on this particular funnel, right? I need to get more and more entries from this particular section, and I need more and more adoption. Maybe this can be one of the metrics that I need to look upon. Now this is where the major part comes into the play, and this is also one thing that I'm seeing that most of the people are lacking at this point of time, is the designers are not taking up the ownership of the numbers. They are just majorly working on the qualitative analysis of the things, not getting into the numbers in the even in the validation phase also. I'm not saying that all the designers are lacking this thing, but yes, most of the people are, due to which the product ownership is something which is eventually going into the hands of the product managers. Now, I am not at all against that the product managers should not have any type of ownership of things, but the designers need to have the ownership and need to have the understanding of the numbers, impact, success metrics, and also the stakeholder management also. Why do I say that? Because once you are so much involved into this problem statement, that is the only point when you can actually take up the ownership of this entire product. Now, why ownership is important? Once you have worked on any of the ideas, once you have worked on any of the projects, if it fails, you cannot just say that, see, I was just the designer, I was just supposed to do the design, and if it did not work, I will just go forward. You cannot really do that, and I don't think it should even be a good practice to do that. You need to take the ownership. Okay, cool, it did not work. Let's see why it did not work. Let's see what all are the metrics that we actually wanted to track upon. What failed, what did not work. Let us just work more on that. Let us just iterate on that. If you are not really owning up on that thing, maybe the journey after the first solution or the MVP might become very difficult for you, and might become very difficult for any person who is not taking the ownership of that entire product. What majorly happens at many of the companies is that the product managers take up the ownership. If it works, they take the credits. If it does not, okay, yes, they do take up the entire bad things from the management also. But yes, blame, basically, yes, blame. They take the blame from the management also. So as designers, we need to understand that the ownership of the product is not something which is just with the product managers. It is with the designers also. And this can only and only be implemented when we as designers are taking that responsibility, are running that extra mile, are being just more curious and just being a bit more responsible with the product. Now a question might come in many of the heads is that I am just a designer. I am not really good with numbers. I do not know how to use Excel. How can I proceed with that? Now that is where maybe the additional skills of you as a product designer comes into the play. You are just not a person who is supposed to know Figma. You are not just a person who is supposed to know Protopie or even Framer. You need to know about numbers, because if you are a product designer, you are a person who is taking the holistic approach or taking the entire holistic responsibility of the product, and numbers are important in terms of defining any of the problem statements, validating them, getting the right picture of the funnel, getting the understanding of the business, what exactly is business asking the product to do, or maybe what exactly is the requirement of the product in order to drive the business. You need to understand the numbers, and for that, yes, Excel is important. I also learned this thing the hard way, but yes, I have now started to learn more about Excel. I have started to indulge myself more into the numbers, because that actually helps you understand the language of business also and other stakeholders also, right? So that is why I would highly suggest that if you are a designer, please do look into how you can understand more about Excel. Pivot table is something pivot table is a very interesting thing also. A person needs to understand that, right? So like a basic or maybe intermediate knowledge of Excel is really very important, and how numbers work, which numbers you need to look into, if a feature's adoption is good but the contribution of it to your success metric is not good, what do you really need to work upon? One thing that I had learned was that if the adoption is good but the conversion is not good, maybe you just need to work more on the functionality of that particular feature. And if the contribution is good but adoption is less, which is CTR is less, maybe you need to work more on the visibility of that particular feature, right? So this is what you need to work upon when you understand more about the input metrics. There are two types of metrics. One is input metrics and another one is output metric. Input metric is basically what all are the things that you are doing through your product, and output metrics is what you are getting out in maybe in a form of business, right? Maybe the input metric in the problem statement that we were solving was that how many people were clicking on subscribe, right? How many people were clicking the picture of the card. So these might be the input metrics. Output metrics would be how many people finally took the subscription, what was the intake of the subscription, right? So this is how we define the input and the output metrics. There's one more important thing that I really wish to talk about is that there are many people who would have this doubt that if I am taking the ownership of the product, if I am being involved so much into the product, am I not a product manager then? Am I not becoming a product manager then? Why am I a product designer? This is where my final conclusion of this thing comes into the play. There are many controversies on this thing which are in the industry. I won't really say anything which is controversial at this point of time, but I don't really think if you are a designer, you really need to think that if I am doing all this, I am slowly becoming a product manager. You just need to understand that yes, I am become a product owner. I am taking the ownership of the product. I will stay a designer. I will stay with my hard skills. I will stay with the problem solving process. But I will also be a product owner. I do not really need to become a product manager in order to take up the product ownership. This is one of the fallacies that I really wish to clear with the people who have often these doubts. Even the people who have been in industry for a very long time, even they have this problem. So yes, you need to take up your path. You need to understand that I am taking the ownership. I am a product designer. I do not need to be a product manager in order to just take the ownership. So that's it. I believe you would have got a very fair idea what exactly a product designer does, and what ideologically also and ideally also what a product designer should do. I hope this thing was really very helpful to you. If anybody has any of the doubts, please let me know, and I would really be loving to catch up with you if you want to discuss about anything in particular about this particular video. And yes, do write your comments there. I would really love to discuss those also. Yep, that's it. Let's just meet in the other part of this channel, right? So best of luck, and have a nice day.